The security camera in the East Wing corridor had been mounted in the same position for 8 years. Staff Sergeant David Mitchell knew because he'd watched maintenance check it during his first week of service. The lens pointed down the hallway toward the grand staircase, capturing everything from the portrait gallery entrance to the music room door. Nothing exciting ever happened in that stretch of palace. Just staff moving between floors, occasionally a minor royal passing through. The footage got archived, rarely reviewed, eventually deleted to make space for new recordings. Mitchell had no reason to check that camera on a Tuesday afternoon in late autumn. He'd been assigned to review security protocols for an upcoming state dinner, which meant hours of paperwork in the control room. Boring work, and the kind that made experienced guards question their career choices. But someone had to do it. The anomaly appeared in his peripheral vision. Monitor 7, top right corner of the security bank. He wasn't even looking directly at it when something registered as wrong. His brain caught it before his conscious mind understood what he'd seen. Movement. Wrong kind of movement. Too fast, too sudden, too deliberate. He looked up. The timestamp read 4:30 in the afternoon. The East Wing corridor, 3rd floor. 2 figures visible in the frame. Mitchell leaned closer to the screen, his coffee forgotten on the desk beside him. One figure he recognized immediately. Queen Camilla, walking with her usual measured pace. Head high, shoulders back. Nothing unusual about that. She had private chambers in that section of the palace. She passed through the East Wing regularly. The second figure was smaller, much smaller. School uniform, dark hair pulled back. Princess Charlotte. Mitchell's hand moved to the playback controls. He rewound 15 seconds and watched again. Camilla approached Charlotte from behind. The young princess stood near the top of the staircase, her back to the camera, looking down at something in her hands. A book, maybe. Hard to tell from this angle. What happened next took less than 3 seconds. Camilla's hand extended. Not a gentle touch, not a guiding gesture. A shove. Deliberate. Forceful. Charlotte's arms flew out, the book tumbling from her hands. Her small body pitched forward, momentum carrying her toward the stairs. Mitchell's breath caught. Charlotte hit the 3rd step down, her shoulder striking the wall. She tumbled. 1 step, 2, and 3. Her hand grasped at the railing, stopping her fall halfway down the staircase. She hung there, stunned, before slowly pulling herself up to a sitting position. Camilla stood at the top of the stairs, watching, not moving to help, not calling for assistance, just watching. Then she turned and walked away. Mitchell replayed the footage, once, twice, 3 times. Each viewing confirmed what he'd seen. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a stumble or a loss of balance. This was deliberate. His training said, report through proper channels. His instinct said something else entirely. Years of military service had taught him to trust documentation, to follow protocol, to never act on incomplete information. But those same years had also taught him to recognize threats. Real ones, immediate ones. He checked the timestamp again. 4:32. That was 18 minutes ago. Where was Charlotte now? Was she hurt? Had anyone helped her? Before we go further, make sure you're subscribed to hear more stories like this. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Now, back to what Mitchell did next. His fingers moved across the keyboard, backing up the footage to 4:15. He needed context, needed to see what led to this moment. The video showed an empty corridor for several minutes. Then, Charlotte entered the frame from the left, walking slowly, reading as she moved. Normal behavior for a child who loved books. She stopped at the top of the stairs, still absorbed in whatever she was reading. At 4:28, Camilla appeared from the right. She paused when she saw Charlotte, looked left, looked right, checking for witnesses. The realization hit Mitchell like cold water. She'd checked if anyone was watching. This wasn't impulse. This was calculated. He fast-forwarded past the incident. Charlotte sat on the stairs for nearly 2 minutes, holding her shoulder, before standing carefully. She looked back up toward where Camilla had been. Even from this angle, Mitchell could see the confusion on her face. The hurt. Not just physical pain. Something deeper. She picked up her book, moved slowly down the remaining stairs, and disappeared from frame. Mitchell's hand hovered over the phone. Standard protocol required him to report security incidents to his immediate supervisor, Captain Wells. Wells would evaluate, decide next steps, probably schedule a formal review. That process could take hours, maybe days. Meanwhile, Charlotte could be in danger, and he thought about his daughter back home. Same age as Charlotte, roughly. Same love of reading, same quiet demeanor. If someone had pushed his daughter downstairs, he'd want to know immediately. He'd want action taken now, not after the proper forms were filed. The guard made his decision. He copied the footage to a secure drive. The file transfer took 40 seconds that felt like minutes. While the progress bar crept across the screen, Mitchell pulled up the duty roster. Who was assigned to Charlotte's protection detail today? Sergeant Collins. Good man. Solid record. Currently stationed outside the family's private wing on the second floor. The file finished copying. Mitchell pocketed the drive and stood. His shift didn't end for another 3 hours, but this couldn't wait. He moved toward the door, then stopped, turned back, and logged his departure in the security log with a vague excuse about equipment check. Cover story, just in case. The walk from the control room to the family wing took 4 minutes. Mitchell kept his pace, normal, professional. Running through palace corridors drew attention, looking rushed raised questions. He passed 2 housekeeping staff and another guard, exchanged brief nods, kept moving. Collins stood at his post outside the private wing entrance. Hands clasped behind his back. Expression neutral. He straightened slightly when he saw Mitchell approaching. "Sergeant," Collins said, "wasn't expecting you on this floor." "Need a word," Mitchell said quietly. "Private." Collins glanced at the door behind him. "I'm on active duty. Can't leave post." "Is Princess Charlotte in there?" "Hasn't left since returning from school." "Why?" Mitchell stepped closer, lowering his voice. "When she came back, did you notice anything unusual? Any injuries? Was she upset?" Collins's expression shifted, professional neutrality giving way to concern. "She was quiet, more than usual, holding her left shoulder a bit. I asked if she was all right. She said she'd stumbled on the stairs." "Why are you asking?" "Because she didn't stumble." Mitchell pulled out the secure drive. "I need you to see something." "I can't leave my post." "Then I need to go in. Official security matter. You're my witness that I followed protocol." Collins studied him for a long moment. Whatever he saw in Mitchell's face convinced him. He reached for the door handle. "This better be legitimate." "It is. Trust me." The private wing was quieter than the public areas. Thick carpets absorbing sound. His heavy drapes blocking the afternoon light. Mitchell had been in this section before, during security sweeps, but never on active investigation. The sitting room stood empty. Beyond it, he could hear voices. Young voices. The Cambridge children, probably with their nanny. Collins led him to a small office off the main corridor. "Wait here. I'll see if Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales is available." Mitchell nodded. The office smelled like old books and furniture polish. A desk held neat stacks of correspondence. Photos lined one wall, formal portraits mixed with candid family shots. He studied them while he waited. These glimpses into private moments rarely seen by palace staff. Footsteps approached. Mitchell turned. Princess Kate entered alone, closing the door behind her. She wore casual clothes, and her expression polite but questioning. "Sergeant Mitchell," she said. "Collins said you have a security concern regarding Charlotte." Yes, ma'am. He held up the drive. I need you to see footage from approximately 50 minutes ago. East Wing corridor, third floor. Kate's expression shifted. Not alarm. Not yet. But awareness that something serious had brought a guard to her private quarters, unannounced. Show me. They moved to the desk. Mitchell plugged the drive into the computer, pulled up the file, set the timestamp to 4:28. This was taken earlier today. He pressed play. Kate watched in silence. Mitchell studied her face as the footage ran, saw the moment she recognized Charlotte, saw her lean closer to the screen, saw her entire body go rigid when Camilla's hand extended. The shove happened. Charlotte fell, and Kate's hand moved to her mouth. Oh my God, she whispered. Mitchell let the footage continue, showed Camilla checking for witnesses beforehand, showed her walking away afterward, showed Charlotte sitting alone on the stairs, hurt and confused. When it ended, Kate remained frozen, staring at the screen. Her hand had dropped from her mouth to grip the edge of the desk. Her knuckles had gone white. Play it again, she said quietly. Mitchell did. Kate watched the whole sequence a second time, her expression hardening with each passing second. Where's Charlotte now? She asked when it finished. In the nursery with her brothers, ma'am. I checked with Collins before coming in. Is she hurt? Collins said she was holding her shoulder, told him she'd stumbled. Kate's jaw tightened. She didn't stumble. She was pushed. By my husband's stepmother, down a flight of stairs. Yes, ma'am. She straightened, pulled out her phone, pressed a single contact, held it to her ear. William, I need you back at the palace immediately. I don't care about the engagement. Cancel it. This is about Charlotte. Pause. Someone hurt her. I'll explain when you arrive. How soon can you be here? Another pause. Fine. I'll wait. She ended the call and looked at Mitchell. How long have you been watching security footage? 8 years, ma'am. Multiple deployments before that. I've seen people do terrible things. I've seen them try to hide terrible things. What's on that video is deliberate assault of a child. There's no other interpretation. And you brought this to me first instead of going through official channels. I thought you deserved to know immediately. As her mother. Kate nodded slowly. Thank you, Sergeant. That took courage. The easy choice would have been following standard procedure, letting it get buried in bureaucracy while people decided how to handle it quietly. With respect, ma'am, I didn't join Royal Protection to keep children safe from external threats, while ignoring internal ones. No, I suppose you didn't. She ejected the drive, handed it back to him. Keep that secure. Make copies. Give one to Prince William when he arrives. We're going to need evidence. Already done, ma'am. 3 copies. 1 for you, 1 for His Royal Highness. 1 secured off-site. Smart. She moved toward the door, then paused. Charlotte's shoulder. I should check it. Ma'am, if I may, you might want to bring in a doctor. Official medical documentation would support any investigation. Kate's expression shifted. Understanding. Appreciation. You've thought this through. I have children, ma'am. If someone hurt them, I'd want evidence. Multiple forms of evidence. Hard to dismiss, harder to cover up. I'll call Dr. Morrison. He's discreet but thorough. She opened the door, then looked back. Sergeant Mitchell, you're about to make some powerful people very angry. Are you prepared for that? Mitchell thought about Charlotte sitting on those stairs. Thought about Camilla walking away without a second glance. Thought about his own daughter and what he'd hoped someone would do if she needed protection. Yes, ma'am, he said. I am. Kate left the office, her footsteps quick and purposeful down the corridor. Mitchell remained where he was, listening to her voice in the distance, making calls, taking action. Collins appeared in the doorway, moments later. What's happening? Collins asked quietly. Something that should have been impossible, Mitchell said. Keep your post. Don't let anyone in or out without clearance from Princess Kate or Prince William. You're serious? Completely. Collins returned to his station. Mitchell pulled out his own phone and called Captain Wells. The conversation would be difficult, explaining why he'd bypassed chain of command, but it was necessary. Wells answered on the third ring. Mitchell, your shift doesn't end for another 2 hours. Sir, I need to report a security incident. High priority. Involves a member of the royal family. Silence on the other end. Then, carefully, what kind of incident? Assault on Princess Charlotte. I have video evidence. I've already informed Princess Kate. More silence. Mitchell could practically hear Wells processing this information, running through protocols, calculating implications. You informed the Princess of Wales before informing me? Yes, sir. Given the nature of the incident and the identity of the perpetrator, I judged immediate family notification took precedence over standard reporting procedures. The identity of the perpetrator. Wells's voice had gone very quiet. Mitchell, who are we talking about? Queen Camilla, sir. The silence stretched longer this time. Mitchell waited. He'd known this moment would come, when he'd have to state it plainly, make it real and official. No more vague references to security concerns. A direct accusation against one of the highest-ranking members of the royal family. You're telling me, Wells said slowly, that you have video evidence of Queen Camilla assaulting Princess Charlotte? Yes, sir. Clear footage. Deliberate action. I have 3 copies secured. Princess Kate has been informed. Prince William is en route. Christ. Wells exhaled. Where are you now? Private family wing? Standing by for further instructions. Stay there. Don't talk to anyone else. I'm contacting the Lord Chamberlain's office. This goes to the top, Mitchell. You understand that? I do, sir. If this footage shows what you say, it shows you did the right thing. If it doesn't, you've just ended your career. I'm aware, sir. Wells disconnected. Mitchell pocketed his phone and stepped into the corridor. Collins stood at attention, but his eyes held questions. Mitchell shook his head slightly. Not yet. Not until William arrived, and decisions were made about how to handle this. The minutes crawled past. Mitchell checked his watch. 5:18. William had been called nearly 20 minutes ago. Depending on where he'd been, how fast his driver could move through London traffic, he might arrive any moment, or it might be another half hour. A door opened further down the corridor. Kate emerged, a young girl beside her. Charlotte. She wore different clothes now, casual ones, and her left arm was held slightly away from her body, protecting the injured shoulder. Kate's hand rested gently on her daughter's head as they walked toward the sitting room. Charlotte's eyes met Mitchell's as they passed. She stopped. You're the guard from the control room, she said quietly. I've seen you there. Mitchell nodded. Yes. Oh, Your Royal Highness. Did you see what happened? On the cameras? The question was direct, mature beyond her years. Kate started to speak, but Charlotte continued. It's all right, Mummy. I know he saw. That's why he came to tell you. Kate looked at Mitchell, giving him permission, with a slight nod. I did see, Mitchell said. I'm very sorry that happened to you. It hurt, Charlotte said simply. My shoulder still hurts. Dr. Morrison is coming to look at it. But what hurt more was that she did it on purpose. I thought maybe I'd made her angry somehow, but I was just reading. I wasn't bothering anyone. Mitchell crouched down to her eye level. You didn't do anything wrong. Nothing at all. What happened to you wasn't your fault. Will you have to tell other people about what you saw? Yes, I will. Charlotte nodded. Good. Because she told me that if I said anything, no one would believe me. She said I was clumsy and everyone knew it, and they'd think I just fell. She paused. But you have proof, on the camera, so people have to believe it. They will, Mitchell said. I promise. Thank you. Charlotte looked up at her mother. Can I go see George and Louis now? Of course, darling. Kate touched her daughter's face gently. The doctor will be here soon. Charlotte walked back down the corridor, moving carefully, favouring her left side. Kate watched until she disappeared into the nursery, then turned to Mitchell. She's been terrified, Kate said quietly. Afraid to say anything because Camilla told her no one would believe her. An 8-year-old child, convinced she had to keep silent about being hurt. Mitchell felt anger settle deep in his chest, or cold anger, the controlled kind that didn't cloud judgment but sharpened focus. That won't happen now, he said. No, it won't. Kate glanced toward the corridor entrance. William should be here soon. When he arrives, I want you present when we review the footage together. Your professional assessment matters. Of course, ma'am. Footsteps echoed from the main corridor. Fast footsteps. Mitchell turned, hand instinctively moving toward his radio, then relaxed. Prince William appeared, still wearing his formal jacket from whatever engagement he'd left early. His face was flushed, breathing slightly elevated. He'd been moving quickly. Kate, he said, spotting his wife. Then, seeing Mitchell, Sergeant, what happened? Your message said Charlotte was hurt. Kate took his arm, guided him toward the office. Come see for yourself. They went inside. Mitchell followed, closing the door behind them. Collins remained at his post, expression carefully neutral, but Mitchell knew he was listening, processing, understanding that something significant was unfolding. Kate pulled up the footage again. William stood beside the desk, arms crossed, watching the screen. Mitchell observed from near the door, giving them space but ready to answer questions. The video played, 4:28, Camilla approaching, the check for witnesses, the shove, Charlotte falling, the terrible moment of impact, Camilla walking away. William's hands clenched into fists. He said nothing, just watched. When it ended, he reached past Kate and dragged the playback slider back to the beginning. Watched it again. His jaw worked, muscles tightening and releasing. How badly is she hurt? He asked quietly. Dr. Morrison is on his way, Kate said. Her shoulder took most of the impact. She's been protecting it. No visible bruising on her face or arms, but she's moving stiffly. Why didn't she tell us immediately? Because Camilla threatened her, told her no one would believe her, that everyone would think she'd just been clumsy. William's fist struck the desk. Not hard, just a release of controlled fury. She threatened an 8-year-old child into silence after assaulting her. Yes, Kate said. He turned to Mitchell. You found this footage? Yes, sir. Approximately 90 minutes ago, during routine security review. And you brought it to Kate first instead of going through official channels. I judged that Princess Charlotte's immediate safety and her mother's right to know took precedence over standard procedure, sir. William studied him for a long moment. You're the guard who stopped that unauthorized vehicle last year, the one trying to leave through the back gate with palace property. Yes, sir. Captain Wells said you have good instincts, said you see things other guards miss. William gestured to the screen. This confirms it. Thank you, Sergeant, for finding this, for acting on it, for trusting that we'd want to know the truth. Just doing my duty, sir? No, you went beyond duty. A duty would have been filing a report and waiting for someone else to make decisions. William looked back at the screen, at the frozen image of Camilla's hand extended toward Charlotte. How many times do you think this has happened? The question hung in the air. Mitchell had been wondering the same thing. I don't know, sir, he said, but I can review archived footage, look for other incidents, other moments when Charlotte was alone with Queen Camilla. Do it, William said immediately. Go back 6 months. If there's a pattern, I want to know. Kate's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Dr. Morrison is here. I'll speak with him after he examines Charlotte, William said. Get his official assessment documented. Meanwhile, I need to make some calls. He looked at Mitchell again. You mentioned copies of this footage. Mitchell pulled out two of the secure drives, handed them over. One for each of you. The third is secured off-site, accessible only by me or Captain Wells. Smart. William pocketed one drive, handed the other to Kate. I'm calling my father. He needs to know about this before Camilla has a chance to control the narrative. Will he believe it? Kate asked quietly. He'll have to. We have evidence. Medical documentation. Witness testimony from Charlotte herself once she's ready to give it. William's expression hardened. And I'm calling Anne. She's dealt with Camilla longer than any of us. She'll know how to handle this properly. Mitchell remained silent. This wasn't his family, his decision to make. But he felt the weight of what was happening, the careful maneuvering required when accusing someone so high in the royal hierarchy. One wrong step, and this could be swept aside, buried, explained away. Charlotte didn't deserve that. She deserved protection, justice, safety. William made his first call. Anne, I need you at Kensington Palace immediately. Family emergency involving Charlotte. Camilla is responsible. He listened briefly. I'll explain when you arrive. How soon can you be here? Another pause. Good, thank you. He disconnected and immediately dialed again. Father, we need to speak. In person. It's about Camilla and Charlotte. His expression tightened. No, I'm not being dramatic. I have video evidence of Camilla assaulting Charlotte, pushing her downstairs. Silence while he listened. I don't care what she says. I have footage, medical evidence. Multiple witnesses. You need to see this before taking any position. More silence. Fine, I'll come to you. 30 minutes. He ended the call and looked at Kate. He's with Camilla now. She'll hear that something's happened. She'll start preparing her defense. Let her, Kate said coldly. She can't defend against video evidence. Dr. Morrison arrived minutes later, a quiet man in his 60s who'd served as royal physician for nearly 2 decades. Kate led him to the nursery, while William prepared to leave for Clarence House. Mitchell remained in the corridor, watching, waiting, ready to act if needed. What he didn't know yet was that Camilla had already heard about William's call, had already understood that something was wrong, had already begun making calls of her own. The real confrontation was still ahead, and when it came, it would test everyone involved in ways none of them fully anticipated. Collins shifted at his post. Sergeant, there's someone approaching, East Corridor. Mitchell turned. A woman walked toward them, mid-40s, palace staff by her uniform. He recognized her, Margaret Swift, one of Camilla's private secretaries. I need to speak with Princess Charlotte, Swift said, her tone professional but firm. That's not possible, Collins replied. She's with the doctor. It's urgent. Queen Camilla sent me personally. Mitchell stepped forward. What's the nature of your business with Princess Charlotte? Swift's eyes narrowed slightly. With respect, Sergeant, that's between Queen Camilla and the princess. Then it can wait until after her medical examination. I don't think you understand. Queen Camilla specifically requested I speak with Princess Charlotte immediately about an incident earlier today. The pieces clicked together. Camilla knew. Somehow she'd learned that her assault had been witnessed, recorded, reported. Now she was trying to reach Charlotte, to convince her to recant, to threaten her again, to establish a counter-narrative before the evidence became official. Request denied, Mitchell said flatly. Princess Charlotte is under medical care and not available for visitors. I'm hardly a visitor. I'm representing Queen Camilla on official business. Then you can communicate that business through Princess Kate or Prince William. But you're not seeing Princess Charlotte today. Swift's expression hardened. You're refusing a direct request from Queen Camilla? I'm protecting a child during a medical examination. If Queen Camilla has concerns, she can address them through proper channels. You're making a serious mistake, Sergeant. Queen Camilla doesn't appreciate being obstructed. Mitchell met her eyes steadily. Noted. Now please leave this wing. You're not authorized to be here without family permission. Swift held his gaze for another moment, then turned sharply and walked away. Mitchell watched until she disappeared around the corner, then pulled out his phone. Captain Wells, Margaret Swift just attempted to access Princess Charlotte on Queen Camilla's orders. I denied entry. You should know Queen Camilla is aware something's happened and is trying to reach Charlotte directly. Wells cursed softly. She's moving fast, trying to control the situation before it escalates further. Yes, sir. Prince William is heading to Clarence House now to confront his father and Camilla with the evidence. Then it's already escalated. Mitchell, document everything, every conversation, every attempted contact, every person who tries to get near Charlotte. If this goes to formal investigation, we'll need a complete timeline. Understood, sir. Mitchell logged the encounter with Swift, noting exact time, location, and conversation details. Then he returned to his position near Collins, both guards understanding without words that their job had just become significantly more complicated. Inside the nursery, Dr. Morrison completed his examination of Charlotte's shoulder. Mitchell couldn't hear the conversation, but he saw Kate's expression through the partially open door, saw her hand tighten on the doorframe, saw her nod grimly at something the doctor said. When Morrison emerged, Kate followed him out. The doctor spoke quietly to her, his face serious. Significant bruising developing across the left shoulder and upper arm. Some minor abrasions, no fractures or dislocations, but she's going to be quite sore for several days. The pattern of injury is consistent with impact from falling, but also with being forcefully pushed. I'll prepare a full written report documenting all findings. Thank you, Doctor. Kate. Morrison lowered his voice further. I've treated Charlotte since she was born. I've seen her fall dozens of times doing what children do. This injury pattern is different, more forceful. If you're asking me professionally whether this could have been caused by a deliberate push, my answer is yes. Absolutely yes. Kate nodded. Your written report will reflect that assessment? It will. I'll have it ready within the hour. Morrison left. Kate stood in the corridor, arms wrapped around herself, staring at nothing. Then she seemed to gather herself, straightening her shoulders. Sergeant Mitchell. Ma'am. William is confronting them now, his father and Camilla. When he does, there's going to be fallout. Camilla will deny everything. She'll claim Charlotte fell, that she tried to help, that video footage can be misinterpreted. She'll use every resource at her disposal to discredit this evidence and everyone supporting it. I understand, ma'am. Do you? Because once this becomes official, once accusations are formally made, you'll be questioned. Your judgment will be challenged. Your motives will be examined. People will suggest you're seeking attention, causing drama, misunderstanding what you saw. Mitchell thought about the footage, about Charlotte's face as she sat on those stairs, hurt and confused, about Camilla's cold calculation, checking for witnesses before striking. Let them question, he said quietly. Let them challenge. I know what I saw. The evidence speaks for itself. Kate smiled slightly, sad but appreciative. William was right, good instincts, and courage to match. Across London, at Clarence House, Prince William walked through corridors he'd known since childhood. The building held memories, most of them complicated. His father's residence, Camilla's domain, and a place where he'd always felt like a guest rather than family. The butler led him to the drawing room without question. Royal family arriving unannounced meant important business, the kind discussed behind closed doors with minimal staff present. King Charles stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back. Camilla sat in her usual chair, a cup of tea balanced on the armrest. Both turned when William entered. Charles's expression showed concern. Camilla's showed nothing at all. William, Charles said, you sounded urgent on the phone. What's this about Charlotte? William pulled out the secure drive, held it up. I need you both to watch something. Then we're going to have a very direct conversation about what happens next. Camilla set down her teacup carefully. Darling, if this is about Charlotte's little tumble this afternoon, I was just about to call Kate. I saw her take a spill on the stairs. Frightened me terribly. I wanted to make sure she was all right. William didn't respond. He walked to the desk, inserted the drive into the computer, pulled up the video file. Watch. Charles moved closer. Camilla remained seated, but her posture had shifted, slightly more rigid, hands folded in her lap instead of relaxed on the armrests. The footage began. 428, East Wing, corridor. Charlotte reading at the top of the stairs. There, Camilla said, leaning forward slightly. See? She was distracted, not paying attention to where she was standing. I was coming to tell her to be careful when... The video continued, Camilla entering the frame, looking left, looking right, checking for witnesses. Charles frowned. What are you doing there? Just making sure no staff were rushing through. The corridors get busy that time of day. The shove happened. Charlotte pitched forward, tumbling down the stairs. Silence filled the room. Complete silence. Charles stared at the screen. Camilla had gone very still. The video continued. Charlotte sitting on the stairs, hurt and alone. Camilla walking away without a backward glance. William stopped the playback. Let the frozen image remain on screen. Camilla's retreating figure. Charlotte small and crumpled on the stairs. That, William said quietly, is not someone helping a child who stumbled. That's someone pushing a child downstairs, checking first to make sure no one was watching, then leaving her injured and alone. The angle is misleading, Camilla said immediately. Her voice remained calm, too calm. From that perspective, it looks like I pushed her, but I was actually reaching out to steady her. She moved unexpectedly and lost her balance. Then why did you check the corridor first? Why look both directions before approaching her? I heard footsteps. I was checking to see who else was coming. And why did you walk away after she fell? I went to get help. I was heading toward the nearest guard station to report the incident. William replayed the footage, pointed to Camilla's hand, extended toward Charlotte. Watch your arm, full extension. That's not a steadying gesture. That's a push. Deliberate force. You're interpreting it through suspicion. I was trying to help. By checking for witnesses first? Camilla's expression finally shifted, a flash of something cold behind her eyes. I don't appreciate being interrogated like a criminal, William, and especially over a misunderstanding involving a child who's always been clumsy. Charlotte falls regularly. Ask any of her nannies. Charlotte is not clumsy, and even if she were, that doesn't explain you walking away after watching her tumble downstairs. Charles had remained silent during this exchange, staring at the screen. Now he spoke, his voice strained. Camilla, why didn't you help her? I told you, I was going to get help. The video shows you walking in the opposite direction from any guard station. I was disoriented, upset. It happened so quickly. William pulled out his phone, opened the photos Kate had sent him 20 minutes earlier. Dr. Morrison's documentation. He handed the phone to his father. Those are photographs of Charlotte's injuries, and significant bruising across her left shoulder and upper arm. Dr. Morrison's written assessment concludes the injury pattern is consistent with forceful pushing, not simple falling. He's treating her now. His report will be submitted to Palace Security within the hour. Charles stared at the images. His hand trembled slightly, holding the phone. This is absurd, Camilla said, standing now. You're constructing a narrative based on poor camera angles and a doctor's speculation. Charlotte fell. I witnessed it. End of story. Charlotte says you pushed her, William said quietly. She told her mother. Told the guard who found the footage. She said you threatened her afterward. Told her no one would believe her if she said anything. Camilla's face flushed. She's 8 years old. Children that age have vivid imaginations. They misinterpret accidental contact as deliberate action when they're hurt or frightened. She's 8 years old and terrified of you, terrified enough to stay silent about being assaulted because you convinced her no one would believe her. I did no such thing. Then why did your private secretary attempt to access Charlotte 30 minutes ago? Why did Margaret Swift appear at Kensington Palace demanding to speak with my daughter immediately after Kate called me about this incident? Camilla's expression flickered. Surprise. She hadn't expected that detail to be known already. I sent Margaret to check on Charlotte's well-being, she said carefully. I was concerned about her. Concerned enough to send your secretary to speak with her privately before any formal questions could be asked? Before she could give her account of what happened to anyone official? I wanted to make sure she was all right. You wanted to make sure she'd stay quiet. William took his phone back from his father, pocketed it. But she won't. Because now there's evidence. Video footage that can't be threatened into silence. Medical documentation that can't be dismissed. And witnesses who actually care about protecting a child instead of protecting a reputation. Camilla turned to Charles. Are you going to allow him to speak to me this way? To accuse me of assaulting his daughter based on circumstantial evidence and a child's confused recollection? Charles looked between his wife and his son, the conflict evident on his face. Decades of loyalty to Camilla, warring with the evidence in front of him. The footage, the medical reports, his granddaughter's testimony. William, he said slowly, this is a serious accusation. If you're wrong, I'm not wrong. Watch the video again. Watch her check for witnesses. Watch the deliberate push. Watch her walk away while Charlotte sits injured on the stairs. William's voice hardened. Then look at those photographs and tell me you think this was an accident. The palace employs investigators for situations like this. Let them review the evidence objectively. The palace employs investigators who understand their jobs depend on protecting the institution. I'm not trusting my daughter's safety to people who might prioritize avoiding scandal over pursuing truth. Then what do you want? William looked directly at Camilla. I want her nowhere near my children. Ever. Not at family gatherings. And not at official events where they're present. Not in any circumstance where she could be alone with them. You can't make that demand, Camilla said coldly. I can, and I am. My children's safety is not negotiable. Charles. Camilla's voice took on a pleading quality. This is ridiculous. I would never hurt Charlotte. She's my step-granddaughter. I care about her. You pushed her downstairs and threatened her into silence, William said flatly. That's not care. That's abuse. It was an accident. Then why did you tell her no one would believe her? Why threaten an 8-year-old child if you had nothing to hide? Camilla had no answer. The silence stretched. Charles moved to the window, staring out at the gardens. I need time to process this, to review the evidence properly, and to speak with Charlotte myself. You can speak with her after Dr. Morrison clears her, and only with Kate or myself present. She's not being interrogated by people looking to discredit her story. I would never, Father. William's voice softened slightly. I know this is difficult. I know asking you to believe that your wife would hurt your granddaughter seems impossible. But look at the evidence. Really look at it. Put aside your loyalty for one moment and see what's actually there. Charles didn't respond, just continued staring out the window. William pulled the drive from the computer. I'm going back to Kensington Palace. Kate is with Charlotte. Princess Anne is on her way to review the evidence and help determine next steps. I'm formally requesting that Palace Security conduct a complete investigation, and including review of all archived footage to determine if there are other incidents we don't know about. William, wait. Charles turned from the window. If we make this official, if we launch a formal investigation, the press will find out. There will be speculation. Scandal. Then there will be scandal. But my daughter's safety matters more than the palace's reputation. Let me speak with Camilla privately. Let me try to understand what's actually happened. You've seen what happened. It's on video. From one angle, without sound, without full context. William stared at his father, saw the desperation there, the need to believe this was somehow a misunderstanding, that his wife hadn't done something so cruel. You have until tomorrow morning, William said quietly, to review the evidence, and to speak with whomever you need to speak with, to come to terms with this. But tomorrow, this becomes official. Investigation launched, protective measures implemented, Charlotte's safety guaranteed. He paused at the door. And father, if you try to bury this, if you attempt to protect Camilla at Charlotte's expense, I will take this evidence directly to the Metropolitan Police. Family scandal or not? He left without waiting for a response. The drive back to Kensington Palace took 25 minutes through evening traffic. William sat in the back of the car, mind racing through implications and consequences. Camilla's denial had been smooth, practiced. She'd had explanations ready, alternative narratives prepared. How long had she been ready to defend against accusations? For how many other times had she done things that required prepared denials? His phone rang. Anne. I've seen the footage, she said, without preamble. Kate sent me a copy. Tell me you confronted them. Just left Clarence house. Camilla denied everything. Father wants time to process. Of course he does. He's been making excuses for her behavior for 20 years. This is just another item on a long list. Anne's voice was clipped, angry. How's Charlotte? Bruised, scared, trying to be brave about it. I'm at Kensington now. Kate let me review Dr. Morrison's report. The injury pattern is clear. This wasn't a stumble. Camilla claims the camera angle is misleading, that she was trying to help, and Charlotte moved unexpectedly. Bollocks. I've watched that footage a dozen times. She checked for witnesses. William. When that alone tells you everything about her intentions. William heard voices in the background. Kate speaking with someone. Anne responding. I need you to do something, Anne said. Authorization for a complete security review. All footage involving Charlotte and Camilla over the past year. If this happened once, it may have happened before. I've already requested it. Sergeant Mitchell is conducting the review personally. Good. He's the one who found this? Yes. Sharp guard. Noticed the incident during routine footage review and brought it directly to Kate instead of letting it get buried in bureaucracy. Make sure he's protected. When Camilla realizes she can't discredit the evidence, she'll try to discredit the messenger. Anyone who supported Charlotte's version of events will become a target. William hadn't considered that. Of the guards who'd helped, who'd documented, who'd chosen to act instead of looking away, they'd all put themselves at risk. I'll speak with Captain Wells. Make sure Mitchell and anyone else involved are insulated from retaliation. Do it tonight. Don't wait. Camilla moves fast when she's threatened. The car pulled through Kensington Palace gates. William could see lights on in the family wing. Kate, silhouetted in one window, phoned to her ear. I'm here, he said to Anne. Coming up now. I'll wait. We need to discuss next steps. Protective measures. How to handle this if Charles decides to side with Camilla instead of Charlotte. He wouldn't. Wouldn't he? You saw him tonight. He asked for time. Time to find a way to make this go away quietly. And to convince himself there's some explanation that doesn't involve his wife being a monster. William ended the call and headed inside. Mitchell stood at his post in the corridor, alert and professional. He nodded as William passed. Sir, Princess Charlotte is resting. Princess Kate and Princess Anne are in the sitting room. Thank you, Sergeant. Any other attempts to access this wing? None since Margaret Swift. Captain Wells has implemented additional security protocols. No unauthorized personnel allowed on this floor. Good. William found Kate and Anne reviewing documents on Kate's laptop. Both looked up when he entered. How did it go? Kate asked. About as expected. Camilla denied everything. Father wants time to process. Anne already knows. I brought her up to speed, Kate said, and I've been documenting everything. And timeline of events, witness statements, medical reports. If this goes to formal investigation, we'll have complete records. Anne closed the laptop. It's going to formal investigation regardless. This isn't something that can be handled privately. An assault on a child, even within the royal family, requires official response. Father will fight that. He'll argue for private resolution. Family matter. Then he's wrong, and we'll proceed anyway. Anne's expression was hard. I've spent years watching Camilla manipulate situations, rewrite narratives, play victim when cornered. This time there's evidence she can't explain away. We use it. William sank into a chair, the exhaustion of the past few hours settling over him. Charlotte shouldn't have to go through an investigation, interviews, questions, or reliving what happened. She shouldn't have been pushed downstairs either, Anne said bluntly. But she was. Now we deal with consequences. We protect her by ensuring this never happens again. That means official record. That means investigation. That means Camilla being held accountable. Kate moved to William's side, hand on his shoulder. Dr. Morrison has offered to be present during any official interviews with Charlotte, to make the process as gentle as possible. And we'll be there. Every step. What about the footage review? William asked. Has Mitchell found anything else? He's still working through archived material, Kate said. 6 months of footage takes time to review properly, but he promised a preliminary report by morning. Morning. Less than 12 hours away. By then, decisions would need to be made, and investigations launched or suppressed, truth pursued or buried. William thought about Charlotte, asleep in her room down the hall, small and vulnerable, trusting that the adults around her would keep her safe. We proceed with full investigation, he said quietly, no matter what father decides, no matter how much scandal it creates. Charlotte's safety is worth more than the palace's reputation. Kate squeezed his shoulder. Anne nodded approval. I'll contact the Lord Chamberlain in the morning, Anne said. Make the request official. Palace security investigation into allegations of assault. They won't be able to refuse, not with video evidence and medical documentation. Camilla will lawyer up immediately, Kate said. Start building her defense. Let her. She's defending against video footage. Let her try to explain away checking for witnesses before pushing an 8-year-old downstairs. But Anne's expression showed concern. She knew Camilla, knew how skilled she was at manipulating narratives, at finding sympathetic ears, at making herself the victim of misunderstanding rather than the perpetrator of harm. This fight was just beginning, and it would get worse before it got better. Mitchell worked through the night in the security control room. 6 months of archived footage, hundreds of hours of video from various palace locations. He focused on cameras covering areas where Charlotte had been present, cross-referencing her schedule with footage timestamps. Captain Wells had authorized the review officially, which meant Mitchell had full access and the legal backing to pursue this investigation properly. And it also meant everything he found would be admissible in any formal proceedings. The first anomaly appeared in footage from 3 months earlier, September, a garden party for military veterans. Charlotte had attended briefly with her parents before being escorted back inside by palace staff. Mitchell watched the video, Charlotte walking through the East Garden with a nanny, Camilla appearing from a side path. Brief conversation. The nanny excusing herself to take a phone call, stepping away but remaining visible in frame. Camilla leaning close to Charlotte, speaking, Charlotte's body language changing, shoulders hunching, head dropping, Camilla's hand gripping Charlotte's arm. Not gently. Hard enough that Charlotte tried to pull away. The nanny returning. Camilla's demeanor shifting instantly. Warm smile. Hand releasing Charlotte's arm. A pleasant conversation resuming as if nothing had happened. Mitchell saved the footage, documented timestamp and location, continued searching. 2 weeks later in the timeline, another incident. Interior corridor. Charlotte leaving her tutoring session. Camilla waiting outside the door. The tutor gathering materials, back turned. Camilla stepping close to Charlotte, backing her against the wall, speaking directly into her face. Charlotte pressing herself against the wall, trying to make herself smaller. The tutor turning around, Camilla stepping back smoothly. Nothing visible to suggest anything wrong had occurred. Mitchell's jaw tightened. A pattern was emerging. Camilla targeting moments when Charlotte was briefly alone or when supervising adults were momentarily distracted. Quick interactions that looked innocent if you weren't paying attention to Charlotte's reactions. But the child's body language told a different story. Fear, intimidation, distress. He found 4 more incidents over the next hours of review, each one brief, each one calculated, each one leaving Charlotte visibly upset afterward, though she never reported what had happened. By 3 in the morning, Mitchell had documented 7 separate encounters between Camilla and Charlotte, where the interactions appeared threatening or physically aggressive. The staircase incident was simply the first one caught clearly enough on camera to be undeniable. He prepared his preliminary report, kept it factual, objective, listed each incident with timestamp, location, and description of observed behavior, attached video clips to support each entry. He noted Charlotte's consistent pattern of distress following interactions with Camilla. The report was devastating, not because of inflammatory language or emotional appeals, but because of the cold accumulation of evidence. 7 incidents, 6 months, a clear pattern of targeted intimidation and harassment of a child. Mitchell sent the report to Captain Wells with copies to Prince William and Princess Kate. Then he leaned back in his chair, rubbed his eyes, and wondered what kind of person systematically terrorized an 8-year-old girl. His phone rang. Wells. "I've read your report," Wells said, without greeting. "This is worse than we thought." "Yes, sir. The staircase incident wasn't isolated. It was escalation. The earlier footage shows intimidation and harassment. This latest incident crossed into physical assault. She's been building up to it." "That's my assessment as well, sir. I'm forwarding this to the Lord Chamberlain immediately. This goes beyond family dispute. This is documented evidence of sustained abuse of a minor." Wells paused. "You understand what happens next? Investigation, formal proceedings, possible criminal charges, and significant pressure on everyone involved to make this disappear quietly. The palace doesn't like scandals involving senior royals. There will be people arguing this should be handled privately, that prosecution would damage the institution. With respect, sir, Charlotte is part of that institution. Protecting her should take priority over protecting Camilla's reputation." "I agree, but we're not the ones making final decisions. We document evidence. Others decide how to proceed." Wells sighed. "Get some rest, Mitchell. You've been on duty for 20 hours. This investigation will continue tomorrow with fresh eyes." "Sir, if I may, we should expand the review. Check footage involving other children in the family. If Camilla targeted Charlotte, she may have targeted others." Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, "You think she's done this to George or Louis?" "I think we can't assume she hasn't. Better to check now than discover later we missed something." "Agreed. I'll authorize expanded review. But Mitchell, you're off duty for the next 8 hours minimum. That's an order. We need you sharp, not exhausted." Mitchell agreed and headed home. But sleep didn't come easily. He kept seeing Charlotte's face on those screens, kept watching her try to make herself smaller, try to disappear, while Camilla loomed over her. Well, what kind of damage had been done? How much fear had Charlotte been carrying alone? At Kensington Palace, Kate received Mitchell's report at 4 in the morning. She'd been unable to sleep, checking on Charlotte every hour, sitting in the chair beside her daughter's bed, watching her rest. She read through the documented incidents on her laptop, hands trembling by the third entry. By the seventh, tears ran down her face. Silent tears, fury, and grief combined. 7 times. 7 documented incidents over 6 months. How many more had happened outside camera range? How many times had Charlotte been threatened, intimidated, hurt, without anyone knowing? Kate wanted to wake William, wanted to show him immediately, but he'd finally fallen asleep an hour ago, exhausted from the confrontation with his father. This could wait until morning, and a few more hours wouldn't change the evidence. She saved the report and went back to Charlotte's room, sat in the chair, watched her daughter sleep. Charlotte's left shoulder was bandaged where the worst bruising had developed. Dr. Morrison had prescribed pain medication, said the soreness would last at least a week. A week of physical pain. How long would the psychological damage last? Charlotte stirred, eyes opening. She saw her mother and smiled slightly. "You're still here," she whispered. "Of course, darling. I'm not going anywhere. I had a dream. She was chasing me through the palace, and I couldn't find you or Papa. I kept running, but she was always right behind me." Kate moved to the bed, careful not to jar Charlotte's injured shoulder. "It was just a dream. You're safe. She can't hurt you anymore. Promise?" "I promise. Adam, we're making sure of it." Charlotte was quiet for a moment. Then, "The guard who saw what happened, Sergeant Mitchell, is he in trouble?" "Why would he be in trouble?" "Because he told on her. Queen Camilla is important. People don't tell on important people." Kate's heart broke a little more. "Sergeant Mitchell did exactly the right thing. He protected you. That's his job. That's what good people do." "But won't she be angry at him?" "Probably. But there are lots of us making sure she can't hurt him either. Just like we're making sure she can't hurt you." Charlotte nodded, seeming reassured. Her eyes closed again, drifting back toward sleep. "Mummy," she murmured, "can I tell you something?" "Anything, sweetheart." She said things when no one was listening. She said I was a stupid little girl. She said I was worthless. She said Papa only pretended to love me because he had to. Charlotte's voice was very small. I didn't believe her, but sometimes I worried it might be true. Kate had to swallow hard before responding. "None of that is true. Not one word. You are brilliant and kind, and loved more than you can possibly understand." What she said was cruel and false. "Do you hear me?" "Yes, Mummy." "Your Papa adores you. I adore you. Your brothers adore you. Granny Anne adores you. You are precious and important, and the opposite of worthless." Charlotte smiled, already halfway back to sleep. "Okay." Kate sat with her until dawn broke over London, until the nightmares faded, and Charlotte slept peacefully again. Then she went to find William. He was already awake, sitting in his office, reading Mitchell's report on his laptop. His expression was carved from stone. "7 times," he said when Kate entered. 7 documented incidents, and those are just the ones caught on camera. "I know. I read it at 4 this morning." She's been systematically terrorizing our daughter for months, making her feel worthless, threatening her, hurting her, while we had no idea it was happening. We know now, and we're stopping it. William closed the laptop. "I called Anne 20 minutes ago. She's contacting the Lord Chamberlain's office when they open at 8. Formal request for investigation. Criminal investigation, not just internal palace review. Your father will oppose it. Then he'll be opposing it. But this evidence is too clear, too documented. Even he can't deny what's in this report." Kate sat across from him. "Charlotte told me something last night. Camilla's been saying things to her, telling her she's stupid, worthless, that you only pretend to love her." William's hands clenched into fists. "Psychological abuse on top of physical intimidation. She's been destroying our daughter's confidence, making her question whether her own parents love her. We need to get Charlotte into therapy, professional help processing this. She's been carrying this alone for so long. I'll call Dr. Morrison, get a referral for a child psychologist who specializes in trauma, someone with experience handling abuse cases. William stood, paced to the window. I want Camilla arrested, charged, prosecuted. I want her to face actual consequences for what she's done. That's not our decision. Then whose decision is it? So who decides whether someone who assaulted a child faces justice? The Crown Prosecution Service, the police, the courts. We provide evidence. They decide how to proceed. And if they decide protecting the monarchy's image matters more than protecting Charlotte? Kate had no answer. They both knew the palace had buried scandals before, had made problems disappear quietly, had prioritized institutional reputation over individual justice. Then we go public, she said finally. If they won't prosecute, we release the evidence ourselves. Let the public decide whether this should be ignored. William turned from the window. That would destroy relationships, family connections, any chance of reconciliation with my father. Would you rather preserve relationships with people who enabled our daughter's abuse, or protect Charlotte? The choice wasn't really a choice at all. Charlotte, William said quietly, every time, without question. Then we proceed. Investigation. Prosecution if possible. And if the palace tries to bury this, we make sure the truth comes out anyway. At 8:15, Princess Anne walked into the Lord Chamberlain's office without an appointment. She carried a secure tablet containing Mitchell's report, the staircase footage, and Dr. Morrison's medical documentation. Sir Edward Hartley, the Lord Chamberlain, looked up from his desk in surprise. Your Royal Highness, I wasn't expecting you. This couldn't wait for scheduled appointments. Anne set the tablet on his desk. I'm here to formally request a criminal investigation into allegations of child abuse against Queen Camilla. The colour drained from Hartley's face. I'm sorry, what? You heard me correctly. Video evidence documents Queen Camilla pushing Princess Charlotte down a flight of stairs. Additional footage shows a pattern of intimidation and harassment, spanning 6 months. Medical evidence confirms injuries consistent with forceful assault. We're requesting the Metropolitan Police be contacted immediately to initiate formal investigation. Hartley stared at the tablet as if it might explode. Your Royal Highness, these are extremely serious allegations, which is why they require formal investigation by proper authorities rather than internal palace handling. Does His Majesty know about this? Prince William confronted His Majesty and Queen Camilla yesterday evening with the evidence. His Majesty was given time to review the materials before this request was filed. That time has now elapsed. Hartley opened the tablet with trembling hands. Watched the staircase footage. Read Mitchell's report. Reviewed the medical documentation. With each piece of evidence, he seemed to age visibly. This is catastrophic, he murmured. For Camilla, yes. For Charlotte, it's documentation of what she's been enduring. The scandal, the press, the damage to the institution, is less important than protecting a child from continued abuse. Anne's voice was cold. Unless you're suggesting we prioritize the monarchy's image over the safety of the third in line to the throne? Of course not. But there are procedures, protocols, ways of handling sensitive situations involving senior royals. This isn't a sensitive situation. It's a crime. Assault of a minor. You don't handle crimes with protocols. You report them to police and let justice proceed. Hartley set down the tablet. I need to consult with His Majesty before making any decision of this magnitude. You can consult with whomever you wish, but this request is now formally on record. You've been provided with evidence of criminal activity. If you fail to report it to appropriate authorities, you become complicit in covering up child abuse. And I trust you understand the legal implications of that position. Anne left without waiting for response. She'd done what needed to be done, made the request official, created a record that couldn't be ignored or quietly dismissed. Now the institution would have to choose. Protect Camilla or protect Charlotte. Bury the evidence or pursue justice. The choice would reveal what the monarchy actually valued: tradition and image, or the safety of its own children.